Why nursing? I picked nursing because I own a mirror. I realized that I'm not that attractive, and 81% of the students are females, so I'm trying to stack my odds. No, that was just serendipitous. That was just a pro. But the real reason I picked nursing was the hospital that I had 4 of my surgeries at was in Dallas. And fantastic staff, fantastic nurses, because, I mean, I mostly interacted with the nurses because that's who you're with most of the time. It was the little things that got me. It was, I didn't like water, and so I liked juice, and so every time that I would have to take medication, they would automatically do that. It was a very nice thing. Another thing was, during the night when they have to take vitals, of course, my mother was there on the pull-out chair, and most of the time, they wouldn't even wake her and get my vitals. And so I thought that was amazing. I picked nursing because I want to be able to impact people staying in the hospital. I want to be able to give them at one of their worst moments a little bit of a happiness in there.
I am very passionate about missions, just serving underserved areas. So I went to Ghana, Africa for 2 weeks during my junior year, and it was just the most life-changing event that I've had. There's one lady that impacted me. She came in and she had to quit her job. She couldn't feed her family. She had lost so much weight. It was actually really scary just to see how bad shape she was in. But she had this one tooth that was just causing her so much pain, and got her ready, pulled out the tooth because we couldn't do anything else for her, and she just had instant relief. She started crying even more, but it was like happy tears at that point because she didn't realize that, just like, I guess all that relief was just over, and it was like the problem was gone. And she came back the following week, and she actually got a job. And so because of that, she was like, I can feed my kids now, which is just like, what?
I primarily ended up here because of my sister. She's kind of what got me even thinking about considering applying to something as crazy and as hard as something like medical school. So she's a year older than me, and she has struggled with mental illness and developmental disabilities and physical illness for her entire life. She's been in and out of hospitals. We've seen numerous doctors and psychiatrists across the United States. She's been genetically tested, and she's had a whole range of diagnoses from bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, personality disorders. It's really hard for us to go in public places. She's really volatile. We don't know when something sporadic's gonna happen or when she's kind of gonna go into a panic, right? But, so we suffered a lot, but who really suffers is my sister. And she's really taught me that, there's a lot of people out there that feel like they don't have a place in society where they feel like they fit in or they belong. And so I initially decided to come to medical school because I wanted to help people who were suffering, yes, but I wanted to help people get to a place where they felt like they could feel like they were a part of something and that they could function and be a part of our society, whether that be physically or mentally. And I decided I wanted to become a psychiatrist because with working with my sister and living with my sister, I think mental illness and physical illness a lot of the time go hand in hand.
I had a friend who actually was in the health professions, and she's like, oh, I'm doing this MLS thing, and I'm like, what's it like? And she's like, super cool. So I started looking into it because I'm thinking, that's what I want to do, working in a lab. Imagine myself with my cow pow on one desk and, looking through microscopes. People going, what were you looking at? The world. Well, along the way, I started looking into different types of schools for certification for MLS, and I realized there's a whole health professions field out there. And so once I came across UT Health Science Center, I started looking at the MLS program here, and I realized they had a master's program. I'm like, That's it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the master's. My dad suddenly started to come down with some sort of illness, and we didn't quite know what it was. So I would start taking him to dialysis. It happened so fast. Within 2 months, he was going to dialysis. So I would go to school, I would take him to dialysis, I would come home, I would study, and then I would go to work. When I came back one day from school, I was talking to my dad. He had just come back from the hospital. We were sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to go sleep is what I'm going to go do." So I went upstairs, and I think I'd been asleep for about 10 minutes when my mother comes running upstairs, and she's frantic. She's like, please come downstairs. I think your father's gone." So I go running downstairs. I don't know what to do. The alarm is going off, and it was such a surreal moment because everything seemed to happen in slow motion. I remember getting my father onto the ground and starting CPR. I remember when the EMTs arrived, I remember going to the hospital. And then I remember going to chemistry class to take a test because I had a test and I wasn't going to fail it. So I went and I took the test. The instructor was shocked to see me there because he'd heard through a friend of mine that something had happened to my father. I took that test and my father died the next day. Now the problem with that for us was that the whole time, it was probably about maybe 4 months that he went from being a strong, healthy individual to being gone. And for me, that impacted me. And I think that's when I really made that change from just a biologist to really wanting to do something in health professions.
Picking a mentor is really important. It's a really important part of graduate school is finding somebody that you can work with. The mentor that actually got me started on the path to graduate school was my undergraduate research mentor. So I did research as an undergraduate, and he was just this vibrant personality. He would talk, and he would just move around the classroom, and he would swing his arms, and it was just so engaging, and it was so exciting, and it was so cool. He got me really excited about science, and I went into his lab, and we did research, and it was just a small undergraduate campus, so it was just undergrads doing research, so I got a lot of one-on-one time. He really encouraged me, and with his encouragement, I applied, and I started in graduate school. And that's where I think the luck part comes in, is having those positive mentors and positive role models in my life.